We're live, everybody. How we all doing? Off the underside again. We're back with our live interview tonight. We've got a Scottish journalist, Scott Bradley. His stuff has been in the Daily Record, the Scottish Sun and that, as I said. And, you know, he's a big Rangers fan. He did a lot of content in Rangers. Scott, how you keeping, mate?
I'm very well, mate. Very well, obviously. Thank you very much for having me on the pod, mate. It's been a long time coming, man.
Definitely, mate. Like I say, I came across your work on TikTok and that. You do quite a lot of TikTok lives. You know, you're doing a lot of videos that go viral, mate. You got a lot of views in that. So I was very eager to talk to you, mate. And how long have you been at? Let's just go back to, you know, when you're a youngster, mate. But you always wanted to be a journalist.
Well, yeah. So basically, the dream was when I was a wee guy, right? The dream was to be a footballer. Then I quickly realised, mate, right? No, I'm not very good at that. So what's the next best thing? Talk about football, get paid to talk about it. And I was like, I want to be a sports journalist. So I remember when I was about like 9 or 10, right? I would phone into Super Scoreboard, Real Radio with my high-pitched voice, phoning in, speaking to Ewan Cameron, Hugh Keevins, Derek Johnson, and all that. So I've always had a real appetite and passion for sports journalism. So like that was only pathway for me, mate. I could never imagine myself doing anything else. So with me, I'm a very passionate and determined guy. So I was like, right, I'm just going to go all out for this. It's this or bust, really. So once I left school, went to college for about 3 years. Then after that, I went to university, and I went to UWS in Ayr. And obviously university, that was one of the most stressful things I think I've ever done. Because when you go from college to university, it's like night and day. And I was at uni for about 2 years, and my God, it was like during COVID. So it was, and what an experience it was. Where obviously the first year at uni was all online. So trying to obviously navigate that, it was quite difficult because we're all cooked up in our houses, couldn't really socialise. So, and then I remember during class that you would be put in like into these like breakout rooms, and I didn't know half the people in the class in that because obviously we went to different colleges. So I'm like, you're in a breakout room with these guys, and you're like, all right. And they're like, oh, go talk to each other, meet each other. I'm like, all right, okay. Like, hi, my name's so-and-so, you know. So the first year at uni it was tough, but after a while, I was able to adapt to the kind of doing uni from home. Then the second year at uni, my last year at uni, it was kind of like a hybrid system where some of it was online, some of it was in campus. And obviously my last year at uni, that's when you do your dissertation. And that dissertation, I've done it on racism in football. And also we'll come on to Anthony Joseph in a minute here. So it was on racism in football, and interviewed Anthony Joseph. But also you'll be having him on the pod quite soon. Great guy, and he done a lot for me. And so I interviewed him for it, and then he got me in touch with Amar Anwar. Obviously, I don't know if you are familiar with Amar Anwar. He's a very well-known criminal defence lawyer in Scotland, and he's obviously a lawyer for the Rangers players as well. Very high-profile guy. So I interviewed him, and like let's see with me as well, right, when it came out of dissertation, obviously trying to get interviews and that sorted and all the essays and that kind of thing. It was stressful. So I don't recommend this to anyone, but see, my dissertation, right, I submitted it 1 minute before the deadline. 1 minute before the deadline. So I'm that type of person where I do tend to leave things to the last minute, but I obviously got there in the end. I got my honours degree, and that was a great achievement for myself. So I graduated 3 years ago, so I did this month, and that was a real special occasion for myself and the family. And I think, also, as you know, journalism is a very competitive industry. It's all about who you know. You need to have the right work ethic for it. And right after I graduated, it only just took me 2 months to land a gig in the media, and that was with this football website called Breaking the Lines. They're very popular, got a big following on social media. So that was like my kind of first like big gig, and I've been working with them for close to about 2.5 years now or so. But because right now I'm a freelancer, so I'm also working for Gersnet Online and also SPFL News, like SNN News, should I say SNN News, SNN Sports. So I've been working with them for the last few months or so, and I'm loving it, mate. I'm living the dream. Because obviously with Gersnet Online, I've got press credentials at Ibrox, so I've had that for about nearly 2 years or so. So like I remember at my first Rangers presser, it was really like a pinch me moment when I'm like, right, I think I've made it now. I'm living the dream, covering my boyhood club Rangers, you know. And mate, that's all I wanted to do. All I wanted to do is be a journalist, and obviously I've managed to do that.
Well, the thing is, you're obviously open and honest that you would team you support. that isn't always popular in this country, mate. Was that, ever an option for you to decide, what, I might just keep that to myself, or say you support Partick Thistle or something like others do?
Well, mate, that's a very good question, because that did cross my mind. But see, if this was in like the 80s or 90s, it wouldn't have been allowed. But see now with social media, like the media's evolved as well, football's evolved. It's not taboo anymore to admit who you support, as long as you're fair about it and you're not like a daffy about it, So it's obviously it's well known that I'm a Rangers fan, but I'm a very honest one where I don't always have the blue tinted specs on. Like, you can't, or else no one will take you seriously. So I just call it as I see it. Like, obviously Celtic, I give Celtic a lot of praise. I give, like, when credit's due, I give it's due. And when something needs to be called out, I'll call it out. If anything, I call Rangers out more than anybody, to be honest. And I think that's the way it should be. It's the way it should be, especially in this whole like new climate of the media,
Aye.
Yeah.
I agree. We've spoken about this with Bill Leckie and that. I actually don't see the point in being a journalist if you're just going to be tinted specs. You need to be honest. You need to be open. You need to tell your honest opinions, really.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, because that's what. See, anytime like a young journalist reaches out to me on LinkedIn or whatever, they always say, "What kind of advice would you give me?" Right? And they're like, "Oh, is it fine if I admit who I support?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's totally fine. Just be sensible about it. And make sure you're not posting anything daft when you're a wee guy that will obviously catch up with you in the future." And the second bit of advice I always give to people is, see, if you really want to get involved with the media or even content creation, you need to have a thick skin, because if you have a thin skin, you're not going to last a minute. And like, that's the thing as well. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of my stuff on Twitter as well, some of the articles I've written. Some of them went pretty viral, right? And I've had quite a lot of abuse, but honestly, it does not faze me in the slightest. If anything, I just laugh it off. That's the best way to be, in my opinion, because, yeah, like as you said, you just need to call it as you see it. You need to be very honest. And then if you're just going to be 110% biased, you're not going to get anywhere. So yeah, that's the thing. It's not taboo anymore to admit who you support, as long as you're fair and honest about it. Because it's, as I said, it's well known. It's well known within the media that I'm a big Rangers man, and it's one thing that's quite funny as well. I will say this, right? I think it's another thing that's well known. I'm a big fan of James Tavernier, right? I think I'm probably one of his biggest defenders, right? And one accusation I always get labelled at me is, "Scott, are you on James Tavernier's payroll?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not on James Tavernier's payroll. I've never met James Tavernier in my life, so I can confirm that. Yes, I've been in press conferences with him, but I've never met the guy. So no, I'm not on James Tavernier's payroll." But that's another thing as well, Jamie, where, see, if you're like talking about a certain player or whatever, you're going to get those kind of accusations like labelled at you, where they're going to say, "Oh, you're on his payroll." Well, like, see, you get money inside. Like, no, it's like, that's the thing. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like, if you speak about like a certain player or a club, because not everyone's going to agree with you, right? It's just the way of life. Not everyone's going to agree with you. Like, there's a lot of people that's going to disagree with you, and that's fine. That's what it's all about. It's all about opinions, football. So yeah, like with journalism as well, Jamie, it's a very competitive industry, and you just need to be honest and smart about it.
Definitely, mate. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, as we speak about that, mate, like I did say, we did speak to Bill Leckie about that kind of stuff. And when I posted that Bill was coming on, man, the amount of, and it was particularly Rangers fans, there was hundreds of Rangers fans telling me that, yeah, I'm not watching it. He's on it. But we spoke to Bill on it about, how does he react? And he's like, you just don't give it any air. You'd completely ignore it. And Davey was saying, he bites whenever he sees comments on your socials and that. And Bill's like, just leave it, man. He's like, at the end of the day, these people have, they've got no life just for sitting there, just absolutely just sitting there slagging you.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. No, Bill's spot on. And that's the thing. That's why I don't take any of the criticism seriously. See, if it's from someone I respect, 100% I'll take it on board and I'll listen. But see, if it's just going to be these faceless accounts on Twitter that can't even show their face, and they've got about like 5 followers to their name, and they're giving you abuse and all sorts, I just laugh. Like, I've had, see some of the abuse I've had, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm not even joking, death threats, all sorts. Like, I think the most wild thing someone's ever said to me was, I'm praying the day that Scott Bradley gets terminal cancer, because I done an article talking about Celtic when they got knocked out the Champions League. I think it was last year. And I was like, really? I'm like, well, how demented are these people to go say this to someone that they've never met, right? Just because they've done an article criticising the football team. It's really strange behaviour. They're mentally ill. So yeah, that's the thing. I never bites it, and obviously, hopefully, Davey said stop doing that as well, because just don't take any notice of it. It's funny for me.
I don't think David will ever stop doing that all day.
No. I just bite for a laugh. I bite back for a laugh, but it doesn't bother me. I just bite. I just have to answer back and have to get the last word.
Aye, and then like that's the thing as well, mate. Like like they want a reaction. So they if this was me 10 years ago, I would be biting left, right, and centre. But like, that's in their want a reaction. Once like they get that reaction out of you, it's made their day. It's probably made their year. So that's why I just don't bother, because see some of the dates I get on social media, like that tweet me, right? They're begging for a reaction. Some of it is like it's really creepy behaviour. What was that? The other night I got this guy was like commenting on my TikTok videos at like 4 a.m. It was about 8 videos he commented on. I'm like, mate, it's like 4 a.m, mate, on a Sunday night. Like, you don't got a job or something, you know? It's just really weird behaviour. So no, I don't take any notice of it. And as I said, like, well, that's what we say to upcoming journalists. I'm like, yeah, like you need to have a thick skin, because if you don't, you're not going to last. Because like with journalists, I think there's not one journalist out there that does not receive criticism. We all get it. It's just part and parcel of the industry that we're in. So yeah, no. If anything, I kind of like like it in a strange way. But I'm just like, yeah, it just shows you how much I'm living in these people's heads rent free. With the fact that like as soon as I post an article, post a TikTok, anything, they're like, oh, what's Scott Bradley saying about this? Like, they try to care. They try to say like, oh, I don't care about his opinion, but they're like, oh, I want to see what he's saying about this, you know. So in a way, it is flattering that they care about me that much, that they need to go out their way to abuse me and send me death threats and all sorts, you know.
Yeah, mate, you're always going to get it, aren't you, man? It's unfortunate, especially, you know, as we say, this country, mate, and the west of Scotland. But anyway, it's going to always happen. But tell me a wee bit about your life to now, mate. Obviously, you're a freelance journalist. What's the day in your life like? You know, where do you go? How do you go about your work?
So it kind of varies, mate. So basically, I would mostly during the week I'm doing stuff for Breaking the Lines or SNN Sports, right? So it would basically vary. I'll wake up about 9, 10 o'clock, right? Have my breakfast and that, right? Because mostly during the week I'm working from home. So usually I'll be writing about 5 or 6 articles a day, right? And that could usually start from 9 o'clock till about 4 or 5. Just say I've got an interview planned or whatever, then obviously that would usually happen about the lunchtime, maybe about 12, 1 o'clock or whatever. So obviously I caught up with Mark Warburton the other week for Gersnet Online. So basically it varies during the day. Sometimes I'll be doing stuff for Breaking the Line. Sometimes I'll be doing stuff for SNN Sports. And with Gersnet Online, so I'll be doing stuff for them for about 2.5 years. That's when I go to the Rangers games, I'm obviously on their behalf. I'm on behalf of Gersnet. So that's when I'll be at the press conference, obviously sit in the presser, obviously do like a 500-word article. Then obviously it might be like a 10, 15-minute review of the game post-match, like, or pitch side, you know, or up in the gantry. So like during the weekends, I'll be working for Gersnet. During the week, be SNN Sports and Breaking the Lines. And by Breaking the Lines, I mostly cover Rangers, but it's just mainly Scottish football. Maybe I might dabble a wee bit in the English Championship or English football. But with SNN Sports, I'm just mainly cover Rangers and Celtic. So right now, obviously, there's not a whole lot going on in terms of Scottish football scene apart from transfers. So, for example, you say a transfer, would you say a signing? Rangers Celtic sign someone, right? I'll get a text from my boss saying, right, Rangers have announcements coming with so-and-so, have an article ready, 400, 500 words, have it ready for X, Y, and Z time. I'm like, okay, that's brilliant. So that can be out and about. Then I get that text. I'm like, okay, I'll need to like get my phone, do like a wee article regarding the player, look up some stats, watch some quick highlights, and just to kind of give a brief overall like review of the player. So yeah, that's the thing, mate. It's like pretty much 24/7 in a way, and you always need to be like, see this phone. See, anytime I finish a shift, I put my phone down for like an hour, 2 hours, because like, I'm never off that phone, because obviously I'm speaking to all sorts of people within the game, even like journalists as well, trying to get some information on transfers or what's happening here or whatever, you know. And it is good, but it can be stressful. Thank God I've still got somewhat of my hairline left. But honestly, mate, I would not change it for the world. I wouldn't change it for the world, man.
Well, since we're on that subject, mate, you got any scripts you can give for the podcast?
Well, obviously, regarding Jamie Vardy, right? I think this is I think it is quite public, right? Because I found out about this like 2 or 3 days ago, but I couldn't actually say it like on my TikTok lives. But obviously, he's Vardy's agent, right? He's looking for a bit more money for obviously his client. So obviously, he's offered Vardy to Man U, but I don't actually think that will happen, just due to the fact he is like 38, right? And Martin effectively, when he got asked about Jimmy Vardy in his presser on Sunday, he didn't deny it. So obviously, there's something there. There's something to it. But I think his agent's just looking for the best possible deal for Vardy, because last year at Leicester, I think he was on about, I think it was like 60 grand a week, right? And of course, the guy's made his money, right? He's made his money. He's won the Premier League, won the FA Cup and that, right? So I think he's trying to weigh up his options to see if he can get a better offer down south. But obviously there was links to Celtic, but I don't think Celtic are interested in Vardy. And I think if you had to pick between Celtic and Rangers, I think we'd go to Celtic, just due to the fact that he's got the connection there with Brendan Rodgers, and obviously Celtic have more money. They can probably offer more money to Jamie Vardy. But there is definitely truth in the Vardy rumours, but I think his agent's just trying to weigh up all the options. Also as well, Connor Cody, there's talks there as well. I think Cody, for me, I say it in my lives all the time, I think he'd be a great signing. He's an experienced player. He would come in and do a very good job. He's a leader as well. I think he'd fit into that Rangers defence very nicely. The boy from Wolves, that's going to be announced, I think, this week. So that's one thing as well. Like, see, with the old regime, it was much more easier for me and other journalists to get this kind of information, right? But see, now with the new regime, nothing really gets leaked anymore. It really doesn't. So it's much more difficult. Like, for example, last week, the Rothwell signing, I didn't even know about that. Like, it just came out of nowhere. So I was texting a few of my fellow colleagues about this. I'm like, yeah, did you know anything about Rothwell? I was like, no. So that's what I like, though. I think so. If Rangers are going to conduct their business like this, I'm all for it. Because before, everything was getting leaked, and it was actually unhealthy how much stuff was getting leaked. Whereas obviously now things are different. So yeah, like obviously Rangers. See, remember last week as well, there was a lot of Rangers fans were impatient, like, what's happening here? Why are we not making signings? But the whole time Rangers were working very hard behind the scenes to get obviously some of the signings done from last week, and they're still trying. In terms of getting players out the door, that will be happening. It's just a matter of time. So obviously, I expect Ben Davies and Kieran Dowell, I think they'll be going to Birmingham, because obviously they played very well for them last year there. So the outgoings will be happening. But so Rangers fans, I think, just need to be a bit more patient regarding that, because there's still 2 months left in the window. So seeing Sunday, of course, in that game, the first half, it wasn't good, right? But the things on the majority of those players that are playing on Sunday, they won't be here come the start of the season. So yeah, there will be a lot more changes at Ibrox. I expect, I think, maybe about 6 or maybe 7 more players will go. Leon King's he's leaving to go to Wycombe Wanderers on a permanent. So I think that's good news overall, because Leon King, no disrespect to the lad, he just wasn't good enough right for Rangers. Ross McCausland, I expect him to go as well. He's another one. He's not been good, right? And that's one thing that did really annoy me about Clement when he came in. Said he was going to give the youth a chance. Only youth player he really gave a chance to was Ross McCausland, probably the worst one out of the lot, you know. So yeah, I expect a lot more incomings and outgoings at Ibrox as well, and it's needed, because Martin needs to get players in that's going to fit his philosophy and system. And the majority of players that are at the club right now, they don't. It's simple as that. So I think it is going to be an exciting window for Rangers. And in terms of like bringing players from abroad, I think you'll do that. Maybe 1 or 2, but it will be a lot of players from down south. And I know a lot of Rangers fans have been quite worried about that. It's like, why are we going for players down south? But Heinzel, if they're good enough, then why not? And you want Martin to go for players that can fit into his system. And Joe Rothwell, he's one player that does that to a T. So I think it will be an exciting window for Rangers.
Definitely, mate. I mean, you know, what positions would you be looking for? Obviously, hold on, I'm going to actually put this comment off of Craig, who said, I don't want Vardy at Rangers, too old. We should be looking for long term. Do you agree with that? I'll give that question to all you. Do you want Vardy at Rangers?
No.
See, to be honest, I would like Vardy, and I would like purely because I don't think he's washed as a player at all. Because obviously last year he scored a few goals in a very poor Leicester team, right? And I think he can come in and do a Jermaine Defoe role for at least a year or so. And in terms of like him adapting to Scottish football, that'll be no problem for him at all, right? Because he obviously played in the National League and obviously in the lower leagues as well, so the physicality thing won't be an issue for him. So I think Vardy, for at least a season or so, I think he would do a fine job for Rangers.
Aye, definitely with Vardy, because the amount of chances Dessers had last season and wasted, he would score half of the chances at least anyway. So I would take Vardy for like a bit of season anyway, definitely.
Aye, and there's obviously obviously mentioning Dessers there as well. Like Dessers, as we all know, he's, for me, hands down the most frustrating Rangers player I've ever seen play at Ibrox, right? So he's such an enigma of a footballer. But I would say the second half of last season, he finally won me over. I thought he was excellent. Obviously scoring 29 goals, finishing as the Premiership's top goal scorer as well with 20 goals. But the thing is, though, right, if we get the right offer, like about £5 million, right, nothing less than that, I would take it. Because £5 million for a 30-year-old, it's a no-brainer. But if he was to stay, I'd be fine with it. But if I had to make a prediction, and from what I've heard as well, I don't think Dessers will be a big part of Russell Martin's plans, because see, as soon as Martin got in the door, one of the first things he done was obviously Dessers was like basically up for sale, and obviously he was in talks with Athens. But like, credit to Rangers board, like when they got the offer for about £3.8 million from Athens, we're like, here, no, we're no mugs here, we're not accepting that. Nothing less than £5 million. It was, see, if it was under the previous board, they would have bit your hand off for that, you know. So yeah, if Dessers stays, I'll be fine with it. If he goes, I'll be fine with it, as long as it's the right offer.
Me personally, you know, she's a Celtic fan. I'm quite happy for you to keep Dessers. So I think that quite tells you a lot, to be honest. I mean, I know that you're saying he scored a lot of goals, mate, right? But I don't think you're going to win a league with him. You know, I don't think you're going to win a league with a guy like that as your main striker. He doesn't do it enough in the big moments for me. Doesn't do it in big games. All right, he scored a goal against Man United. It ended up going on to, you know, didn't mean anything. Scored a goal in a meaningless game against Celtic. But seeing the big moments, mate, at Hampden or whatever, or, you know, in the Celtic Rangers games that mean things in that, I don't think Dessers turns up. I think he'd be a decent option to come off the bench for you. But if I was a Rangers fan, my first thing is I want a striker.
Yeah, because see, Dessers, like, that's the thing with him, right? He will not want to be a backup striker. He wants to be the main guy. He's always made that clear. And obviously, Martin wants to get his own guy in. So, if obviously with Dessers, though, like he, as you say, I think he'd be a great backup striker, but he doesn't want to play that role, because if he's not going to be the number one guy, he's off. But in terms of the moments in the big games, I see your point. I do. Obviously, in Europe, he's been great for us. Obviously, scoring against Fenerbahce, Real Betis, Olympiacos. Like, he's had some, obviously Man United, but of course Rangers didn't get anything from that game. But he has performed well in Europe, and he is a good striker. But he is so frustrating just due to the fact that he misses so many chances, right? And yeah, of course, his movement's good, and he's always in the right areas to take these chances. But my God, it's like 1 minute he'd be stinking the joint out, right? I remember against Olympiacos, just bringing that up, he was having a terrible game, an awful one, right? And we're like, just get Dessers off. Then next you know, he scores a lovely goal, we end up leaving my point, and you're like, you can't like understand him at times. It's baffling. And he even said at a presser I was at a while ago, he was like, if I really took the chances that I should, I'll be playing for Real Madrid. You know, but don't think he's a bad player by any means, but he will be a loss though if he was to go, because 50 odd goals over 2 seasons, it's going to be quite difficult to replace. And with Iggyman as well, he's more likely going to be off too. And I'm quite disappointed about that, because Iggyman, I think it's a breath of fresh air. He's like a throwback to like an old school footballer, where he just goes out there and he just does his thing, expresses himself. You know, he still is raw, but he's got huge potential. I would love to see Iggyman stay for another season, but I think he will be off, because if he was to stay another season, right, and he has a fantastic season, he'll go for a lot of money. So yeah, like Iggyman, he probably will be off. But seen someone asked about Connor Cody coming. Yeah, I think that will happen. Right, I think that will happen. I don't understand why it's kind of stalling right now. But he would be a big asset for Rangers. Experienced head, good leader, good defender, can play as a defensive mid as well. So yeah, I think that'll be an absolute no-brainer.
So I take it with Connor Cody going to be coming in, so it'll be Proper, and Leon King obviously will be leaving.
Yeah, Proper will be off. Yeah,
Shara and Oz, you know, is no said he needs to play football.
Nsiala can go.
He said
I
he's had
quite
to
liked
play football.
Nsiala last season. So I thought that'd have been one we could have kept and build on with him. But it doesn't seem to look that way with
Well, Barry Ferguson,
Martin
he was the player that Ferguson took off against Kilmarnock, wasn't he?
Aye. I remember
he
that.
wasn't the worst one that night either. Like, Proper was all over the place as well.
Proper's for even in Sunday. Proper's fucking. He's not a fitter player.
Aye,
he's no good. He's no good. Like
No.
I think his Rangers career was done after that daft red card against Bilbao. I think he only ever played like one game after that, I'm sure. But no, Proper's just been a disaster. He was meant to be the replacement for Connor Goldson. Just no work. Oh man, no work. Yeah, and Proper will be off. I say me obviously Leon King. Matondo, I would love to get shot at him, but I've got a bad feeling we might be stuck with him for another season. He's only ever had one good moment in a Rangers jersey, and that was in the Old Firm.
At Ibrox.
Yeah.
Well, from a Celtic point of view, I was raging at Yang that night. Yang let him cut inside. I know it was a good finish, right? But Yang fucking ran away from him basically and gave him the chance at a shot. But obviously, you're going to look at your own team's kind of downfalls there, aren't you? But one thing I've got to say is that I think he's need a goalkeeper. I know Jack Butland is a decent shot stopper. He's a decent shot stopper. He makes too many mistakes, and then you've got Liam Kelly, who's for me never a Rangers number one.
No, he's backup.
No, I agree. We definitely need a new goalkeeper, right? And I don't understand what's happened to Butland. I really don't, because last year he was in Clement's first season. He was brilliant. He really was. He like bailed us out so many times. And I remember there was talk about Butland getting called up for England, right? And I remember when I spoke to Warburton about this, and even Warburton was like, "Yeah, why not?" We're not saying that he would be in the number one, but at least be in the squad because he was on form. And then I remember the free each game. Obviously, we were just speaking about that there. The free each game, Gareth Southgate was in the stands at Ibrox for it, and Butland obviously letting 3 goals. Didn't have a good game. Then after that, I think Southgate was like, "Right, I've seen enough," and then he obviously never got called up. And then obviously that he made that howler in the Scottish Cup final against Celtic. And basically, I think ever since the whole speculation surrounding him getting a call up to England, ever since then, and since he never got called up, he's been terrible. Like last season, he cost us so many points, cost Rangers so many points. It was ridiculous. It was baffling to see how bad he'd become, And I think the final straw for him was the Hibs game at Ibrox, where he had a nightmare. Then he obviously got dropped for Liam Kelly. And Liam Kelly, don't get me wrong, I think he's a decent keeper, decent backup. Is he a Rangers number one? Absolutely not. No chance. And see, obviously the way Russell Martin wants to play, like playing out from the back, right? Jack Butland, see anytime he's got a ball at his feet, I'm petrified, lads. I'm petrified anytime he's got a ball at his feet because his distribution is terrible, right? He cannot play out from the back whatsoever. And Liam Kelly, he's no much better in that sense. So in terms of a goalkeeper, that for me, that has to be a priority. Because if Martin wants his system to work, he needs to get a goalkeeper in that is good with the ball at his feet. There was some speculation surrounding Ramsdale. I really don't think that will happen. Just from what I've been told as well, he wants to be at the World Cup next year, right? And if he's going to be coming to Rangers, that's going to be very, very unlikely that he'll be getting a call up, So there was talk of him going to Galatasaray or staying down south or going back into the Premier League, but no, I think, and also as well, the wages would be a big issue in terms of Ramsdale. I would take him definitely, but I just don't see it happening. I really don't.
Martin, I know that he had a pretty poor defence in front of him, but it doesn't legislate for the mistakes he was making. So,
Martin, he's shite.
I can honestly think at the top of my head, Jamie, right? Last season, Butland made about 7 or 8 big mistakes that cost us in big games. Yeah, 7 or 8 big mistakes. And that was the theme of Rangers season last year, where I've never seen a more bipolar Rangers team in my whole life, right? I remember when we lost 2-1 in Motherwell, right? It was Barry's first home game, right? Then once the press had done, right, someone said to Barry, right, he was like, "Yeah, good luck on Thursday against Fenerbahce," and he was like, "Oh, I'm dreading it, lads," right? And then obviously we go to Turkey, then do one over Jose Mourinho 3-1. You're like, how can Rangers go from losing 2-1 to Motherwell, then rocking up to Turkey against one of the best managers of all time and beat them 3-1? Just
because the pressure's off, mate. The pressure's off.
Yeah,
In the league,
that's it.
Celtic were already away. You know, Rangers fans, quite rightly so, getting on the team's back for being so far behind. Whereas when you get into Europe, you know what I mean, you are known as this good team now. You've togetherness, you know, and they just seem to shine in confidence. Because when you look at the team, mate, you know, you look at the actual Rangers starting 11 in these games, you know, it's not great, is it? You know what I mean? It's the same teams that get beat off Motherwell and all the rest of it. So, it's got to be a mentality thing when it goes into Europe.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, where it's like, don't get me wrong, the European runs over the years have been great. Some of the best nights of my life, right? But Rangers have neglected the domestic front for far too long. And going into, obviously, this season, in terms of Europe, I'm not really fussed. It's all about doing well domestically. And especially with Russell Martin's style of play, it doesn't give me much hope in terms of Rangers actually progressing well in Europe. So, yeah, I mean, Europe, whatever happens, right? But the full focus has to be like on the league and the cups. It has to be. And obviously, you touched on that the Rangers mentality as well. You're spot on because, like, Rangers last season, right? You just didn't know what Rangers team was going to turn up. Where they would drop daft points to like Motherwell, Hibs, St Mirren, Aberdeen. It was just but then when, as you say, when there was no pressure on Rangers to do anything, that's when they turn up and do well, you know. And it was so incredibly frustrating because I don't know if you agree with this, Jamie, right? But see, with the exception of the first Old Firm game last season, right? I think apart from that, every other Old Firm game, I felt like Rangers were the better team in every other Old Firm game. But obviously, in the grand scheme of things, it meant hee-haw because Celtic still went on to do a double, right? But it just made it even more frustrating because just Rangers dropped all these stupid points. But when they played against Celtic, apart from the 3-0 game, they turned up, you know? So that's what just made it more infuriating from a Rangers perspective, where it was just the silly points that Rangers dropped that ultimately cost Rangers. And then, you know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know what you think, right? But obviously, a lot of Celtic fans, to me, are a wee bit overconfident about next season. I mean, I do think Celtic will win the league, right? Because I think that we are a couple of years ahead still, right? You know, squad-wise, you know, we've won the league for a number of years now, mentality-wise, all the rest of it. But as you say, mate, you know, the last good few Old Firm games, there has been a right good competitive match. Rangers have been the best team in that good few of them now. I think that, you know, I think these are maybe about 3 or 4 transfer windows away for actually challenging. I don't think it's going to happen this season. I would definitely think the following season, I think you will probably win a cup next season. But for you actually go the full season, get that title back under a new manager, a new regime, I think it's going to be a tough ask. I really do. And I'm not just saying that for like a Celtic
See you, mate.
I think.
See you, mate.
No, I'm not saying it for like, that's my genuine opinion.
I know, mate.
I think this season, right, Martin needs to win something, right? Rangers need to be challenging, in my opinion, right? And I'm not even just saying this as well. I think when you look at that Celtic team, I don't think it's a bad Celtic team by any means, right? But obviously they need some more signings and they need a striker, right? And I think I don't see the mess that Martin inherited. It's not like the mess that everyone thinks. Like, Rangers were in a much bigger mess 7 years ago when Gerrard first came in, right? Gerrard was afforded time because, right, it's a rookie manager coming in, we're a mess, right? Let's back him, right? See what we can do. In the first season, there was improvement, right? You've seen the signs that he was on to something. Where obviously Rangers finished second, right? But of course, as we know, that means nothing. But Rangers were just in that weird stage where it was a really big rebuilding phase. So Rangers qualify for Europe, and you've seen what Rangers are trying to do, beat Celtic twice as well. So yeah, Gerrard was afforded time. Martin's not going to be afforded time, right? Rangers need to be challenging this season, right? No ifs, buts, or maybes. And the signings Martin's brought in so far, they've impressed me. The boy Fernandes, a wee bit, I've got some reservations about because obviously I'm doing some research on him and that. He's quite lackadaisical at the back in that. He's good in the air, but obviously apparently gets cut out quite a bit, but we'll just need to wait and see. But in terms of the signings, Aarons, Asgard and Rothwell, they're very promising. So in my opinion, I think Rangers will be challenging this season, and they have to. And because if that's the thing, if Martin doesn't win a thing, he's going to be out the door. And you see the first Old Firm game at Ibrox, that is going to be so important because obviously, as we all know, Russell Martin was not the popular appointment by any means, right? I'm behind him now. When it was first announced he was getting the job, I was like, what are Rangers doing here, you know? But if he wins that first Old Firm game, that will be huge for him going forward. But if he loses, the pressure will be on him like straight away. The fans will be on his back. You know, so that it's really important that Rangers actually win that game, and it's very good for Rangers that the first Old Firm game is at Ibrox.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I think he's well challenged, but I still think it's just a tall ask to actually go on and win the league. But again, I mean, the proof here to me is right. If the threes were being honest, right, totally honest, how many of the Rangers players would get in a Celtic team?
What do you say?
You can have some of them.
Asking.
You can have a few, mate.
Right, go.
Yeah.
Asking who else?
You have
I'd say-
Makoto.
Proper.
You have Butland.
No. Many
Diamandi. Diamandi gets in the
Who's
team.
getting ahead of?
Engels,
Raskin would be-
Hatari, McGregor.
Raskin's getting in ahead of Engels, and that's it.
Do you know what I'll say this as well? I think Dessers being that Celtic team, right? I don't even think it's controversial to say, right? I actually think Dessers is better than Adam Idah. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Adam Idah's.
Aye, I'll give you that, Scott. Aye.
I think Dessers was getting that Celtic team. And this is a bold one, right? I don't know if any of you will agree with this, right? But I'll say this now. I think James Tavernier gets in that Celtic team as well. I really do. I think he gets in there ahead of
I'm not giving you that.
Yeah, because I still
Nah,
think, right? I still believe that James Tavernier is the best right back in the league, in my opinion. I know a lot of Rangers fans won't disagree. I know a lot of
I'll
Rangers
tell
fans.
you what. See, next time you're in a press conference, we're going to get the books changed. Fucking green and white
white
bread
boots,
on Sunday.
But I mean, I rate Tavernier as well. I do rate Tavernier. I think he gets quite a lot of unfair criticism for Rangers fans. However, I think Adam Johnson's a better defender. I think Tavernier's better going forward, scores more goals, creates a lot more chances. But if you're looking for a right back defender, I think Adam Johnson all day long, mate.
You can see what you mentioned there about the criticism that Tav gets. Like, I've obviously, as I've said earlier on, like, I'm a big defender of Tav. I just think some of the criticism he gets, considering what he's done for the club, is ridiculous in my opinion. And he's like, that's the thing. We signed him 10 years ago. That's crazy. Like, I was 18 years old when Rangers signed James Tavernier. 18 years old. I just left high school, so he's been here a long time. And
He's been a good servant. You can't even green and white boots when you're the captain of the Rangers.
That's very true, mate. That's very true.
That's my fucking right.
That's true, mate. Aye.
Nah. That's what I think, though. But I do think he is. I think he's brilliant going forward. You know what I mean? The amount of chances the boy creates over the years, his goal record for a right back is absolutely unbelievable. I know he scores a lot.
There's a lot of Rangers fans, but they'd rather seen him as a winger than a right back.
I actually meant to ask Warburton on that, and I actually forgot. Was to say, you know, how does nobody ever, Rangers manager, ever think about putting Tavernier a bit more forward? But then I think somebody said to me once that they tried it, didn't they?
Clement tried it, I'm sure, for a few games.
He did, aye. And I remember when he tried it, it was fine, but I think Tav is, like, he's more suited to be a right back or centre half. Like, you seen Sunday when he came on, he totally changed the game. Centre half, he was excellent. In my opinion, he was the best player, like, for Rangers on the day.
He reads it better than somebody with proper on that day.
Oh, 110%, 110%. Like, because see this thing about Tav, like, not being a good defender, like, I've never really bought into it. Like, of course he's better going forward, right? And I think most modern fullbacks, like, they need to be better at going forward. But defensively, I think he's improved a lot over the years. And obviously, you see him at centre half as well. Like, one thing that really stands out to me when he played at centre half last season, where he'd never really put a foot wrong. And I don't think he gets enough credit for this, right? I don't know if you remember the Fenerbahce game, right, where they were through, and there was like a minute to go. Then Tav made that last minute ditch tackle, and no one was giving him praise because it was Tavernier. If that was John Suter or Raskin, we'd be raving about it for ages. But that's the thing. Like,
I don't even think Suter's the best. Suter's not a good defender.
I think he's very hot and cold, but I think he needs a good partner alongside him. Because last season was all right, but when he's got proper alongside him, it's like, because he has to.
Well, I think Leo and Tim get dragged about that first half because of proper Sunday.
It's proper's. He will be off, and I can't wait for it because, like, I was saying to a fellow journal the other day, right? And I was like, obviously he was meant to be the Connor Goldson replacement. I'm like, yeah, I actually just would have preferred we kept Connor Goldson, because I think Connor Goldson was a good player, good servant for Rangers, but obviously Clement didn't fancy him, so he brought in Proper, and just no work to it at all, man. But yeah, obviously I think Connor Cody would be a shoo-in for to the I've seen someone mention Balogun there as well. Balogun was really good for us.
I agree with your Connor Goldson thing, by the way. I thought Connor Goldson was a cracking defender for Rangers, but your man down the right here fucking hated him, didn't he, for day one?
Aye, mate, you're right, I did.
I've never
That wasn't his biggest fan either, to be fair.
Do you know why Davey hated him?
Until he left, and then we got proper.
Davey hated him because
He was starting to do that one of the first friendlies, and he done something. Like, nope, he's not for me.
And he couldn't forgive him. How mental is that?
Aye, holding a grudge all that time.
Aye, on a friendly.
Davey used to tell me he had a good game in that, and I'm like, no, never.
Even that, they two goals he scored against Celtic at Parkhead. John Cole.
I never even celebrate.
That is stubbornness at its finest, man. I respect it. I respect it.
Although I've got a mate who had a season book at Parkhead during the, Gordon Strachan years and all that, and he never ever stood up when Scott McDonald scored at Parkhead.
Really?
Never.
Oh,
never stood up.
Because
of that fucking one day.
He's a good player for Celtic, right? But let's be totally honest about it. What he'll be remembered for is Helicopter Sunday. And
it's not even just that.
He hates it, but that's what
he's full family of Celtic supporters too, isn't he?
Yeah.
I know.
Do you know what? It's like, I don't mind them scoring that goal, right? But it was a fucking celebration. It was the big stupid, that stupid celebration he done. Fucking, I'm still bitter about that and all, but anyway.
I don't know if Craig's just saying that to annoy me.
Aye, maybe, man. Maybe.
That's the thing, O'Neill. I remember Martin O'Neill spoke about that, and he said that Helicopter Sunday will always haunt him. It will haunt him forever because it was just it was in Celtic's hands, and that wasn't a great Rangers team back then. And then Rangers, if I'm being honest, were very, very lucky to win that title because obviously remember the following season Rangers finished third under McLeish. McLeish should have walked probably right after that because he leaving a high, but obviously stayed too long, and then obviously Rangers had a disaster the following season, finishing third.
Yeah, man, that was a bad day, man. That was a bad day. I was in a pub. I'll tell you a story you'll be happy about, right? I was in a pub that day, and we were all singing Championes with 5 minutes to go.
Good.
And I was like, Champion, and then it was, yeah, fucking. Things getting flung about and all that, man. That was horrible day. Horrible day. But I talked to Ian Murray about that, man. He's fucking. I don't think I was actually talking to him about that. I think I seen an interview where he was saying that Hibs were happy with the draw and they just chucked it the last 12 an hour.
Aye, that's it. Because obviously Hibs are going to, I think, we're qualifying for Europe, and obviously the results were like, here, you know what, Rangers about win the league, we're getting Europe. So it was. I remember I watched some Hibs players talk about it, but like it was one of the most bizarre situations that they've ever been in. Where they're like, okay, let's not take any risk here. Let's just pass it.
We were just passing the ball about the back that day, and they didn't even commit their main half.
Aye.
In the last couple of minutes, they were just happy with the hit.
Ian Murray even said in an interview that I think he got stuck into Barry Ferguson with like 5 minutes to go, and Ferguson was like, "You fucking dang, you're going to be one of us next season." So there was no chance Hibs were going to try and score that day, was there?
No chance.
Scott, in fact, this goes to all you. Who was your favourite? We'll go to a different part of Scottish football in a minute, but since we're talking about it, who was your favourite players growing up, Scott? Who was your favourite player growing up, mate?
Oh, Nacho Novo all day long, mate. I had Novo 10, like Ranger strips, and I idolised the guy. Nacho Novo was one. I love Big Kyle Lafferty as well. This is about a wild card one for you as well. I loved Alan Hutton as well. Like he was, if you remember, right, for those 6 months, his last 6 months at Rangers, he was untouchable. He was electric, right? And I remember when I was a wee guy, I was always like, so I was a right back. I would always try and like emulate Alan Hutton, the way he would just like bomb forward and that. So I must have a soft spot for right backs, you know. But Nacho Novo, Alan McGregor, of course, Barry Ferguson as well. But I'll tell you a funny story about Novo. I was out in Partick 4 years ago, right? I was in the tournament and I was in getting a drink and that, right, with my pal. And then my pal tapped me and was like, look at that. I'm like, who? And he's like, there's Nacho Novo. And I went, no way. Right? And I don't, like, see me being a journalist and that, because I deal with a lot of folk in the game nowadays. I don't get starstruck anymore, right? But see, because this was Nacho Novo, I was like, oh my God, it's like my childhood hero. So I go up to him like, all right, Nacho, how's it going, that? And he was brand new. And I was like, here, Novo, you're like my childhood hero growing up, mate. I like to see the amount of strips I've got with Novo 10 in the back. And he was brand new, so sound. And then I was having a few drinks with him for about 2 or 3 hours. And I'm like, I'm pinching myself. I'm like, I'm getting on it with my childhood hero here. This is surreal, you know. But they always say never meet your heroes. But I was not disappointed in the slightest. He was a absolute gentleman. with me, and he was he's a great guy. So that was a special moment for myself.
That's good, man. Lewis, what about you? Who was your hero, mate? And have you ever got on it with him?
Oh, big Purcell.
Purcell? You've not got on it with him, have you?
No, I've not been on it with him, no, but I would die. Had the chance to, aye, definitely.
What did you like about him?
Just the way he was. He was just strong, powerful, and he always seemed like a good laugh in the videos that you seen him and stuff. So, aye, he just looked like a great character to have around the dressing room.
Nah, he's a good player.
He's just brilliant, aye. So I always liked him, so I did.
Good international player, I know, man. What about you, Dave?
Ian Ferguson.
Ian. Why, Davey?
Hated Jews.
Right, exactly. That's about the only reason you said that. It's fucking the only reason, mate. That's no football ability you've just said that for.
Yeah, I remember I had a soft spot for El Hadj Diouf, right? Just purely because, when Rangers signed him, right? It wasn't anything to do with his footballing ability, right? Because he was washed. It was all about, right, Celtic fans can't stand him. So Walter was like, you know what, let's bring in Diouf. And he was just playing the role of just being a wind-up merchant, right? And it worked, and it was a good laugh in that, even though he was terrible for Rangers. But he'll always be like a cult hero in a way, just purely because he was just a proper wind-up. And yeah, I remember the rivalry between him and Brown. It was made for great entertainment, so it did.
Aye, he was a band pot, wasn't he, man?
Well, just did have the last laugh that season with the trophy in his hand, didn't he? So
he did, to be fair, he did.
Right.
Aye, so getting away from Celtic Rangers for a wee few minutes, what's your thoughts on Derek McInnes going to Hearts? Do you think that they're now the third best team in the country ahead of Aberdeen? Do you think that's
100%, mate. I think, obviously, I think Hearts have pulled a blinder here, right? I think if I was a Hearts fan, I would be very, very excited about the upcoming season because Derek McInnes, for me, he's the best Scottish manager in Scotland. He's a very good manager. I wanted him at Rangers 8 years ago, and I remember I'd done a podcast, right, with my pal Aberdeen fan, right, and the title was, this is when he's meant to come to Rangers, the title was Dexit means Dexit, right? We do the podcast, then I turn on Sky Sports News, Derek McInnes rejects Rangers, podcast is up, man, and I'm getting absolutely slaughtered. Yeah, I think McInnes is a good manager, and Hearts have played it smart in the sense of they've not took a risk. When they appointed Neil Critchley, that was a big risk, didn't work out, right? But McInnes, safe pair of hands, done well at Aberdeen, done very well at Kilmarnock, and especially the investment that Hearts are getting, like, it's very exciting times. They'll be, I think they're a shoo-in for third this season, mate. And they're obviously Shankland staying. I think that's big news for Hearts. It's great news. Yeah, last year he didn't play all that well, but Hearts overall were bad, and he was playing out of position. And Derek McInnes will be able to get the best out of Shankland. I think he'll be able to get him firing again, like he was 2 seasons ago, where he finished top goal scorer in the country. So yeah, I think Hearts are they'll be right in amongst it this season. So exciting times with the Jambos.
I think it is definitely a good thing getting McInnes and obviously Shankland staying, but I think Penrith is a big miss. I think he's going to be a big miss.
Aye. Also, he's away to Athens, so he is. Yes, I would take him at Rangers, but
so would I.
Celtic or not, to be honest.
Aye.
We spoke about that the other day, didn't we?
Just with Greg Taylor leaving, I think he would have been. Don't get me wrong, I don't know if he'd.
Well, he was probably Hearts' best player last season, wasn't he?
What's that?
He was Hearts' best player last season.
Yeah, he was, he was. Shankland didn't score half the amount of goals, but then somebody was saying to me the other day, can't remember if it was on TikTok or whatever, but saying that Shankland was played out of position last season.
He played as a 10. He played that in the striker.
I don't even know it.
How he played so poorly. So, I've seen for a while, from what I got told, the reason the whole Shankland situation was taking so long was because I think his agent was trying to get him a better deal. Then he re-signed with Hearts, and apparently rejected clubs from abroad, and they were offering more money. But from what I've been told, he was looking for a better offer elsewhere, and then obviously he was like, you know what, there's nothing really that's going to appeal to me here, so Hearts. So, but yeah, I think it will be. I think it'll work out anyway for Hearts, and I think they will be back until Shankland.
Tony, happy enough so far. And Grenna Steel at that price expect big things, but we need a competitive. I don't know. I don't know how you can say Grenna Steel. I don't know anything about him yet. We need a competent centre back to play alongside. I agree with that. I mean, Trusty and Scales aren't up to it. Narovski's away, Lagerbielke's away. So definitely, obviously, signed that chap in Unamura. But Brendan Rodgers already said that he's not going to be in the first team next season. Which I don't get either, by the way, guys, because how can a project be 23 years old?
I know. See, when obviously it was announced, I was like, right, it's meant to be a project setting, but he's 23 years old. And in terms of Celtic's window so far, right, still a long way to go, but a lot of Celtic fans that I've spoken to, they feel like it's very underwhelming so far. Because I still do believe Celtic need a striker. They do. They still need a striker. And if Adam Idah was meant to be the guy leading the line for Celtic this season, I would be quite concerned from a Celtic point of view. And obviously, I think you've heard me speak about Tierney before, Jamie, but Tierney, I think, is a very good signing. He is, but it comes with a big risk, is the fact that he's made of glass. He is very injury prone, right? And he will be playing on a plastic pitch 6 or 7 times potentially this season. And it's not like he's coming to Celtic to be on the cheap. He'll be on big money, be one of the top earners. So, yeah, for me personally, if would I have made that signing if I was Rodgers? Probably not, just because of the risk. But if he gets it right, if he can stay fit, or Celtic be off the races in terms of Tierney, you know. But I still think Celtic need to get a striker in, obviously another centre half as well. I've still got some concerns about Schmeichel. And so I do. I actually thought Celtic would have went into the market for another goalkeeper, like as a number one, but obviously it turns out he'll be staying for at least another season. But like, if I was a Celtic fan, I would feel underwhelmed right now. But obviously there's still plenty of time. Celtic will bring in some big players. But obviously, just touch on Adam Idah briefly again. Like, see when you spend £9 million on someone like that, for what the Old Firm to spend that money on a player, he's meant to be your main guy, not a backup. So I imagine when obviously Norwich got that offer for him, they must have been laughing all the way at the bank, like £9 million for Adam Idah. Like, and as I said earlier on, don't get me wrong, he's not a bad player, but he's not the main guy for Celtic.
It's funny you're saying that, because I totally agree with everything you said, right? But then we were talking about Dessers earlier, who scored 29 goals. You're talking about Adam Idah, who, as you say, isn't a number one at Celtic, but he scored over 20 goals. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, the thing is, it just takes a lot more than scoring goals. I know that sounds ridiculous, you know, but you need to be contributing there.
Sometimes it's the way you score the goals as well.
What's that?
It's the way you score the goals.
Aye.
Your link up play, hold up play. Because basically, as Scott touched on earlier, Idah is similar to Dessers. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? They missed a lot of chances.
Aye, because it's like, that's the thing with him. It's like, as I was saying as well, like, when you get signed someone for £9 million, right, you're expecting him to be your main guy, your main striker. Like last season, right, Kyogo was keeping him at the team, right? And obviously, in the second half of the season, Adam Idah was playing a lot more. But like, that's the thing as well. With the difference, I would say, with Dessers is Dessers, we spent £4.5 million on him, and I think we've got our money's worth. I probably would say so, in terms of just his overall contribution, in terms of his goals, right? I'd probably say so, and we will more than likely make profit on him. But in terms of Adam Idah, will Celtic make profit on him? Absolutely not. They're going to take some loss in him, in my opinion. So yeah, Celtic need to be in the market for another striker. Obviously, Majowski's been linked with both the Old Firm. He's someone that I think would thrive at Rangers and Celtic, because I don't think the move to Spain is exactly what the plan. But I don't know how you would feel. Well, Jamie, I'll ask you. I don't know how you would feel about that, about Majowski at Celtic.
No, for me, mate. I mean, I think he's a decent player. I think, you know, he done well at Aberdeen, goes over to Girona. Doesn't he obviously cut it because they're getting rid of him pretty much immediately. You know, I think that, like I say, I think he is a decent player, mate. He works hard. He can take a chance in that, but I don't think he's any better than Dessers or Idah, to be honest.
Because he's someone I would personally take at Rangers.
I you would take Kingsley as well, wouldn't you? I remember I seen in your live the other day. Would you take Mitov as your goalie or not, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah, 100%. I think I rate him a lot, and I think he's actually pretty decent with the ball at his feet as well. So that would be a no-brainer. I think it would cost us a few quid though, mind you. But yeah, he'll be a good signing. But yeah, Rangers do need to get a new keeper in, because going into the season with Butland and Liam Kelly, if that's going to be Rangers' two keepers, it's going to be quite nerve-wracking to say the least, man.
Right, definitely. What are you thinking next season, Lewis? What position are you wanting filled there?
I still think we need wide players in.
Aye,
I
need
think
wingers,
we're
eh?
Well, we went
quite
to a good
short
few of the
there.
day, but wouldn't we?
Aye. I think we
Do you know
have
what I
been
mean?
short with wide players for the last couple of seasons. You had
Yeah.
Tierney last season that came in. That was only one side. You had Seamer the season before that. But other than that, we've not actually had a out-and-out winger since Kent. So I really do think that we need wide players. He's built for the back straight away with obviously the signing Fernandez, Arns, and then if Connor Cody comes and the boy on loan for Wolves, that sort us out at the back. We've got enough midfielders in there now. So it's really wide players. And another striker, because I don't know if I'm right with this, but is the African Cup of Nations this year?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Aye.
So you potentially could, if you still get Dessers and Igaman there, you could Losey to
Yeah.
for a couple of them. I don't know how long it goes on or what, but they could be away for a few weeks.
Yeah, because I completely agree. Rangers need to get some wide players in, and like in terms of the right hand side, in terms of wingers, that's been an issue for Rangers for a long time. Because when over the last 8 years or so, I can only really think of like the only good right wingers Rangers have had have been Tierney and Candace. Yeah, Aribo wasn't a natural winger, but he obviously done fine out in the right hand side in that. But he was not a natural winger, and also Ryan Kent as well. Like Ryan Kent was obviously a great player for Rangers, but obviously anytime there's a transfer window that comes about, people are like, bring back Kent. Like, no, that shit's failed. Yeah, obviously Rangers need to get some wide players in. I want another left back and I want to get rid of Yilmaz. For me, it's no worth it in the slightest. And obviously, I don't think he's a bad player there. I don't think he's a bad player by any means, but just too injury prone. And Rangers are in a situation now where they can't afford to have players on the wage bill that are constantly injured. And it's been a common theme for far too long now. And Batondo, we're talking about him earlier on. He's probably going to be here this season. And it's infuriating because he's been like another flop. Danilo, same with Yilmaz. I don't think Danilo's a bad player, but he's made of glass, right? And like obviously the list goes on and on, you know. So it'd be Jeff Day. I think there's a player there. If he was to stay, I'll be fine with that because I think he's still raw. He's young. He's about 20, 21 or so. Going forward, he's pretty good. He's quick, got a decent final ball on him, but defensively can get caught out quite a bit. But obviously, that he can improve in that. So I think Jeff, if he stays, he'll be totally fine. That Ben Davies and Kieran Dowell, they need to go 110%.
Yeah.
But yeah, there will be, as I was saying earlier on, there will be a lot of outgoings. It's just a matter of like when they'll go, you know. But obviously, Egeman and Dessers, they will more likely both be off. I'll be gobsmacked if both of them are here come the first of September. I'll be gobsmacked. I think it's very, very unlikely that both of them will be.
You know who I'm surprised he didn't actually take a punt on? And I know that he's went abroad now, but he was out of contract at Kilmarnock, Danny Armstrong.
Aye, so a lot of people have said that as well.
Natural winger.
He's not a bad player, but like.
See, the thing is, maybe he was under the like Coppin in that because it looks as if this season every player Rangers been linked with under Coppin. Turns out we weren't interested in, so.
Aye, pretty much.
He was linked to Rangers, do you know what I mean? And then everything since Coppin getting a bill, it's all changed.
Aye, because like see the signings that we made last season, right? It was almost like a lot of them were like project signings. We were mostly thinking about the selling value, and it's like that's why I'm over the moon with Joe Rothwell because like that doesn't matter about the selling value, right? The guy's a very good player. We've got a player that's going to come in his prime and do a job. So we need to have that right balance where not every signing has to have a selling value. They don't. You want a balance of like players that are going to come and do a job right away, and players for the future as well. They're still a bit raw, but they can obviously still do something at their young age. So yeah, that's what I'm really liking about Martin's transfer philosophy, where he's just going for that kind of mix of youth and obviously players that are proven players as well. So and you have the right balance, you know.
I think it's been really smart signing so far, but see, just moving on again for a wee second. Let's talk about Kilmarnock. Obviously, Stuart Kettlewell's getting in there, done a decent job at Motherwell, felt that he couldn't stay there anymore for personal reasons and that. How do you think he'll go on at Kilmarnock?
I think it's I've spoken to quite a lot of Kilmarnock fans about this. I think it's quite underwhelming. If I was a Kilmarnock fan, of course it's good. It's going to be very difficult to replace Derek McInnes, but I think Kilmarnock. I don't see them finishing in the top 6. I don't see them getting relegated. I think it'll be a very kind of meh season for them. And also they lost some players as well. Be quite difficult to replace. But the Kettlewell, he's not a bad manager. But I wasn't a fan of the way Kettlewell kind of conducted himself after he left Motherwell, where I don't know if any of you seen that interview he done. I think it was with The Sun. And he was basically saying I'm not afraid to jump the barrier, go into the stands and shoot someone. I'm like, see what I was saying earlier on about being involved with the game. If you've got a thin skin, you're not going to last. That's the thing. If he's got that, if his ego's that fragile and if he's that insecure, and he's just say the pressure's on him, he's going to lash out. He's not going to be able to control himself. So yeah, hopefully for his sake, he's learned from his mistakes. But I was surprised when he done that interview, and I was quite surprised at the time that Kilmarnock were willing to take a punt on him, because the way he spoke like that, I was like, I thought it was pretty embarrassing, to say the least.
Brett, I'm not meaning to be cheeky, mate, right? But do we look like live score here, mate? Fuck's sake, man. What's the Chelsea score? Why don't you Google it, mate?
1-0 to Chelsea.
It's 1-0 to Chelsea. I've just checked. But what's that all about, Brett?
Who scored?
Jeez, oh, man.
I don't know.
Maybe you'll tell me the goal scorer.
Pedro. Am I looking at fucking 2013 here?
Ciao Pedro, mate.
Ciao
Pedro.
Ciao Pedro. Aye. What about Dundee? Stephen Presley in there? That was a bit of a shock.
Never did that.
I think they're the team will go this season. I think they'll go.
Stephen Presley's not a manager, Jamie.
No,
he's already said, didn't he, that he wasn't the right man for the job either.
Yeah, he basically said if you want a manager that's won trophies and league titles and that, I'm not your man. What a way to get the fans on your side. But see, with me, I'm always the guy that I'm like, you know what, he deserves a chance. You need to get behind him and see what he can do, right? But see, with this Stephen Presley appointment, I'm writing it off from the get-go, lads, 100%, purely because, right, he's no managed in 6 years, right? Even when he was a manager 6 years ago, he was rubbish. He wasn't good enough, right? And then the only reason, we all know the reason he's the Dundee manager right now is because his pals with Strachan. That's the only reason he's in that. Yeah, because that's what Strachan's done ever since he was in that, since he got appointed as the technical director at Dundee. He's appointed all his pals. I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, he appointed Mark McGee, right? Mark McGee, if you remember him, of course, how can we forget?
Raging.
Is that allowed? Get that to I remember, what was it, when he first took over, Mark McGee at Dundee, right? When he done his presser, he didn't even know Charlie Adam was the Dundee captain. And then obviously they went down that season, no shock there. But if I was in charge at Dundee, like the owner of Dundee, one of the first things I would do is get rid of Strachan, because it's just jobs to the boys, isn't it? And that's the thing. I think Dundee will be in bother under Presley this season. They will be. And if they, that's like, if they start really badly, right, and they just say they want to continue with Presley for a large chunk of the season, I think they've got a real good chance of going down. I really do. Yeah. Because it's just the point makes no sense other than the fact that, as I said, he's pals with Stratton. That's it. Because I think the only thing he's got to his name, Presley, is he took Falkirk to a Scottish Cup semi-final 12 years ago or something like that. I think that's pretty much all he's done in management. That's anything
worth talking about,
But yeah, I don't see it working out at all, mate. I really don't.
No.
All right, I'm going to disagree with you. So I think, and it's been known that I fucking have a different opinion for a lot of people because you're a fucking attention seeker or this, right? Yeah. I think that Stephen Presley got a decent job at Dundee. Don't know why, just a feeling, right? I think he's going to get them defensively solid. I think that they're going to be. I don't think they'll finish top 6. I think that they'll be well above the relegation zone. But there's my prediction.
Let's have a bold one.
Talking of predictions, right? We'll go into that now. Lewis, start with you, right? Who's winning the league next season?
Rangers.
Davey?
Rangers.
Scott?
Oh, I say it all the time. I have no idea. The reason I'm saying that, right?
On the fence there, man.
The reason being, right, is because it's too early to say in terms of, right, Rangers still need to make signings, players still need to leave. Celtic still need to make signings, players need to leave as well. So I'm going to make a more concrete prediction. I would say nearer the start of the season once pretty much all the business has been done. So right now, I get asked in my TikTok lives all the time, who's going to win a league Rangers Celtic? And for me, I think it's too early to say. It's too
How
early
come
to
it's
say.
not too early to say that Dundee are going down? You think they're going straight down?
Because it's Steve, mate, come on. The point is Stephen Presley. Like, yeah, come on, like that's just it's got a car crash written all over it, you know. So I'm very confident in my opinion that Stephen Presley will take Dundee down. But in terms of winning the league, I have no idea, and I have no idea. So yeah, hopefully it's Rangers. But
No.
right now I have no idea, mate.
At some point, you need to take
that
your
Rangers
Sapphire
game,
Fence, you really do. At some point, I think Celtic are going to win the league. Lewis, who's gone down? Dundee. Davey.
Dundee.
Scott Dundee.
I think Livy and Dundee if they don't sack Presley. And the reason, obviously, see, I've interviewed Davey plenty of times. He's always been great with me, right? I know he's going to hate me saying this, right? But I'm honest. I just need to say how it is. I think Livy will be going straight back down. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Davey proves me wrong. But I just see Livy going down this season. And of course, I think obviously not a lot of clubs in Scotland are huge fans of Livy. And I think a lot of fans across the country were very disappointed to see them come back up. So because we've basically got 3 plastic pitches in the top flight again, and sooner they're gone the better, lads. Sooner they're gone the better. Should not be allowed in the top flight, and I've said that, Davey.
A very a very specific prediction there for Tony C. Celtic will win the league at Rangers, get to Euro Conference semi-final. All right, okay. For me, I think Falkirk goes straight down.
I think he's meant to write Champions League, mate.
Maybe, mate. Maybe.
I
think Falkirk goes straight down. I think the last few weeks of Falkirk.
No, mate. Falkirk will finish in the top 6.
No, I don't know. We've got I've got a bet on my Corey, haven't
I know, mate.
I still think Falkirk will be all right this season. I think John McGlynn's a good manager. They've made some very shrewd signings. I don't think they'll get top 6, but they will be safe. I think they're building something pretty decent there. I think they'll be all right. I think they will be the kind of like surprise package of the season. But obviously, Jamie thinks Dundee will stay up and be defensively solid, but we'll wait and see.
That's what I think, man. We'll see.
That's not happening,
Scott, there's one here that I want to just put on. I don't really know what this is referring to, but address
the tab tweets. Oh, right. So, as I was saying earlier on, lads, I'm a big fan of James Tavernier, right? So, I think what he's referring to, right, is a tweet that I put out over 5 years ago, right? This was I think it was in the 2019-2020 season, right? You will remember well, where Tav was not playing well whatsoever, right? I think it might have been after a game against Hamilton or something, right? He had a stinker and he was just struggling with confidence and everything, right? And I tweeted out something saying, Tav's never a Rangers captain, blah, 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 he's spineless, weak, all this kind of thing, right?
I've seen that post.
It went so viral, right? So it was like over 5 years ago. And obviously, like 5 years later, I'm like James Tavernier's biggest fan, right? So anytime I tweet about Tavernier or do an article on him, I still get these dafties, right? That's what I'm going to call them, the dafties, that think it's like a gotcha moment. They're like, oh, is this you? And I'm like, yeah, lads, right. This was over 5 years ago, right, when I tweeted this out. Opinions can change, right? And Tav will be the first to admit, right, that he was struggling at that time. He was bad. And then, see, ever since the COVID season, Tav's been a totally different player, and I think he's been phenomenal for Rangers, and he's really grown into like the captaincy. So he has. And that's the thing as well, right? See, Tavernier, he's aware of those tweets. So he knows about them, and he's not got an issue with them. From what I've been told, he's not got any problem whatsoever, right? Because that's the thing, opinions can change in the game. So I do find it funny when people tweet that to me, and they're like, oh, was this you, mate? And I'm like, mate, it was over 5 years ago, right? This is before COVID. Like, and yeah, opinions can change. So yeah, the tweet, I've not deleted it because it's still there. Because at the time, like, I stand by everything I said at the time regarding Tavernier, but now obviously
I don't back down, double down.
Aidan, the answer to the question, mate, is opinions change in football, mate. That's what happens. So get over it, bud.
Everybody wrote about Tav still true.
Scott, last question for you, mate. We'll let you go. What is your plans for the future, my man? What have you got coming up, and what's the plans ahead?
Oh, well, obviously, I can't say too much now, mate, but I've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. It's exciting times ahead. And as I said, I'm living the dream. And obviously, I started this new role with SNN Sports, and you should go check them out. They're Like they're
I
absolutely.
follow him on Instagram. That mate, they're doing well.
Aye, so obviously I'll be doing a lot of stuff for them next season. So I'm going to be a busy guy, and also I'm still balancing, obviously covering Rangers, covering the press conferences, breaking the lines as well. SNN Sports, it's going to be a lot, and also I've got 1 or 2 other things in the pipeline as well. So it's exciting times ahead, Jamie, and no, I just can't wait for it, and I just can't wait for the season to start as well because I think it will be a cracker.
I know I'm a moderator for Scott. I just wanted clearance.
He's a mod for me in TikTok, mate. So
Okay.
Celtic man.
All right, fair enough. Right, people, thanks very much for coming on. Remember, hit the like and subscribe button if you've enjoyed this. I've certainly enjoyed talking to these trips. Scott, thank you very much for your time, mate. You're absolutely smashing it in the old sports journalism world. Keep doing it. Lewis, Davey, thanks very much for coming on, trips. See you all later on.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Bye, everybody. Cheerio.